What's up, boys and grills? My name is Ekop and today I will bring you my top 10 green heroes in Artifact Draft. So what are we waiting for? Let's get this list started. Once again, tied for number 10 are the heroes that are worse than the basic green hero. Let's talk about the worst one first. Rix. Rix's whole gimmick is dying a lot, so you can utilize his rapid deployment passive. Of course, he helps you greatly with that by having by far the weakest stats out of any green hero. Keep in mind, every time one of your heroes dies, you give your opponent 5 gold. So unless you are a very charitable person and care more about making your opponent rich rather than taking the win, then sure, go ahead, play Rix. Oh, and yeah, it's just like it was the case with Bloodseeker and Outworld Devourer. His signature card sucks. So what about Viper and Abaddon? They have the same stats as the basic hero. Why are they worse? Well, they don't just really do what green wants to do, and that is to establish a good creep-based board presence. So let's say if their signature card was some kind of creep, they probably would outshine Farvan. So what do we get? Viper Strike and Apothic Shield. These spells are, well, neither impactful, nor do they work well with any sort of game plan that green typically tries to accomplish. These heroes sure are okay when it comes to fighting solo, but that's not really what green is all about, unfortunately. If I were to choose which one of the two is better, I would probably play Abaddon, because thanks to his active, he has a lot of staying power in the lane, and if your deck has a lot of green cards but you would rather not play that many green heroes, then Abaddon is the perfect choice in order to ensure that you always are able to play a green card every turn. At number 9 we have the green basic hero Farvan, obviously. As mentioned before, Farvan does what green wants to do typically, establish a creep-based offense and keep it healthy with armor. And sure, what he can do, other green heroes can do way better, and we are going to talk about those heroes later. But if you don't have access to those kind of heroes, Farvan is a welcome addition to any green deck and you are never unhappy about playing him. Taking the number 8 spot is Seer. Let's just get the bad news out of the way first. His signature card sucks. Paying 4 mana to pretty much just deal 3, not even guaranteed, damage to something, and the fact that the effect can happen again thanks to modify barely ever comes up. But of course that's not the reason you play Seer. It's all about his active ability and the utility it provides. All you have to do is deploy him on turn 2 or 3 to guarantee that he goes into lane 1. Lane 1 of course is the most important and therefore most contested lane, because the game can be decided there before the other lanes even get to play. What Seer does is allow you to overcommit your heroes to lane 1, which usually would be a bad thing since you give up lanes 2 and 3, but because you can use Seer's active, you can just teleport stuff from that lane you overcommitted to the lane that needs help the most. This kind of effect is also insanely flexible, because you can pretty much adjust your plan on the fly rather than committing to it on the deployment phase, where it can potentially backfire. If only Seer's card was better, this hero would have easily been a top 3, but unfortunately it's only enough for number 8. At number 7 it's Chen. Now Chen looked very impressive to me at first, and I thought he had the potential to be amongst the top 3 green heroes based off the power level of his card and active ability. Unfortunately, he suffers from the same issues as Earthshaker does. Check out my other top 10 lists, top 10 blue heroes for that. Basically, because of its too long cooldown, you need to make his active count, since you will most likely only use it once per match, but your opponent can easily play around it by not playing a high value creep in a lane where Chen is able to steal it. So unless you have a Blink Dagger or a Seer handy, it will be really hard to apply his active. The same Earthshaker problem applies to his signature card as well. Hand of God is a great 7 mana card that can win games on its own, but again, it's kind of situational, and therefore you need to be a heavy green deck, so you have a higher chance of setting it up on a lane with a green hero that actually needs this kind of effect. This pretty much is the reason you can't play Chen as your only green hero in your lineup, and the reason he's only at number 7. Coming in at number 6, it's Magnus. Magnus doesn't seem like much at first. He has no active or passive, but comes with a point of armor instead, making him sort of a weak version of a generic red hero. However, thanks to his signature and power, he can pretty much turn any green hero into something that much more resembles the power of a red hero. The cleave damage that Empower provides is great to dominate lanes and get rid of pesky melee creeps way faster, and therefore also be able to push more damage faster. Green heroes all pretty much suffer from the same problem. They may have high health, but they don't pack a punch. And that punch is exactly what Magnus provides, which is why I am never unhappy about picking him up. At number 5 we have the first of 4 very similar heroes, Enchantress. Enchantress is probably the green hero with best staying power after Abaddon, but unlike Abaddon, she also helps her adjacent allies stay in the lane longer than usual thanks to her passive regeneration. She's perfect for long drawn out skirmishes, and her signature card only amplifies that putting 1 or 2 verdant refuges into a lane turns your side of the board into an unbreakable wall. So why is she only number 5? Well, it's pretty much just personal preference. If I have the choice to be proactive or reactive, I'd choose the former. And compared to heroes that are coming up, she is the most reactive of them all, since Verdant Refuge doesn't really provide any offensive capabilities at all. Number 4 is Treant Protector. Much like Enchantress, Treant is great at keeping his adjacent allies alive, but unlike Enchantress doesn't really protect himself well. What gives him a slight edge, however, is his signature card Roseleaf Druid. A great creep that ramps your mana, which can allow you to play your high impact cards 1 turn earlier, potentially giving you a huge advantage in the lane. It's especially awesome if your deck is built in a way that capitalizes on the order of your hero deployment, if you are able to play a Roseleaf Druid on turn 2. If you have, for example, a 6 mana card that's awesome in your deck, just make sure to deploy a hero of that respective color in the Roseleaf Druid lane on turn 3 and accelerate into it. Taking the number 3 spot is Lycan. They say a good offense is the best defense, and Lycan provides just that with his passive, virtually protecting your melee creeps by one-shotting opposing melee creeps, leaving your creeps on the board unopposed. Of course, this also is great to deal more damage to enemy heroes, which would sometimes just one-shot those creeps anyway, even with protection from Farben, Enchantress or Treant. So already based on his passive, Lycan deserves to be much higher than those heroes, and we haven't even talked about his signature card yet. Sabot Wolf is an amazing snowball card. Sure, it can be a bit easy to handle immediately after it's played by just playing a creep of equivalent cost across from it, or using a removal spell on it. However, if you are able to set it up uncontested, it already becomes a pain in the ass to deal with after its first attack. If you have a chance to set it up on turn 2, don't mess around, go for it. These wolves win games on their own. At number 2, it's Omni Night. With his whopping 512 stats, he's by far the thickest green hero out there, and these stats alone, together with his active heal ability that you can use every 2 turns, give him and occasionally his allies insane staying powers. But that's not all. His signature card turns any green hero you modify into an Enchantress on steroids, giving not just the adjacent but all units to regen, which kind of makes it a mix of Enchantress passive and her signature card. And at 4 mana, that's a bargain. There's not much else to say, just play Omni Night and overwhelm anything that's standing in your way. And taking the gold medal at number 1, it's Drow Ranger. Now you might look at these stats and ask me, Ekop, how can this hero be good? She has the same stats as Riggs, only 1 attack more. Why is she number 1? Well, it's not just 1 attack more, but about a million attack more distributed amongst everything else you have in all lanes thanks to her passive. If you take your time to count up all the units she buffs, she suddenly becomes the best hero in terms of a stats perspective. And sure, she still only has 7 health, but that's why you deploy her on turn 2 to put her in the lane where she's most likely to survive. Most of the time the additional attack you gain on turn 1 doesn't matter anyway. But what truly makes Drow Ranger the top dog is her signature card, Gust. But Ekop, Riggs also has silence, why isn't this card? Shut up, Riggs is trash and Drow is insane, and here's why. Unlike the other silence type cards that I mentioned before, Drow Ranger's card is so much better, not only because it costs 1 mana less, but also applies to all heroes and not just one, which immediately makes it at least twice as effective. Granted you have initiative, you can prevent your opponent from being able to play a specific signature card that would completely destroy you, and especially in the late game is when Gust shines brightest. Often in artifact games you will encounter situations where both players have 1 lane 1 each, and it all comes down to the 3rd lane where both players dedicate all their remaining resources into. So naturally having a cheap way to basically lock out your opponent, make him skip his entire turn, while still being able to play cards yourself with your remaining mana is definitely game winning. And especially when you can do it multiple times in a row. So this is why there can be no other option than Drow when it comes to the number 1 spot of green heroes. And that's my list. If you want to see more lists like that, make sure to subscribe for upcoming content and check out my other videos as well. And if you like what you see and want to see more, check out my Twitch channel, link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!